hustler. The one thing on my mind and I don't mean to stop.
Gotta get to the top, we ain't play. Always win, never flop, cause we're on the right track. Going 20 miles per hour, we don't look back. We just close our eyes whenever there's a red flag. Full acceleration, full thing, but we play tag. Yeah, we play tag.
Got me on the high tracks, I've been riding day and night, yeah, we've been killing it. Gotta stay at the top to keep on winning. Coming seasons over.
We're on the right track. Going 20 miles per hour, we don't look back. We just close our eyes whenever there's a red flag. Full acceleration, full thing, but we play tag. Yeah, we play We're on the right track, going 20 miles per hour, we don't look back. We just close our eyes whenever there's a red flag. Full acceleration, full speed when we play tag, when we play tag.
This is iRacing.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a week long of racing, and it has all come down to today. 7 qualifiers have set the field, and there can be only one champion. Welcome to the morning race, Super Session number 1 for the Crandon Championship here at the Big House, Crandon International Raceway. My name is Keenan Kuzin. Join with me once again, Joey Atterbury. And Joey, we were given a show and a half last night, and that wasn't even the main event, and we've got 2 here today on Saturday.
Yeah, we've got this morning plus this afternoon, and it's going to be that same format, 6 laps, 10 laps, and yeah, we've been covering it all week here at Crandon, like you said, the Big House. So it is not just the first day of off-road coverage here. I believe it's day number 3 or day number 4, actually, that we've been covering everything from those qualifying sessions, and now we're here to that Super Session.
We have 20 drivers who have raced their way in. These are the 20 highest seeded drivers from a weeks of racing. All those points have led down to this. We expected some big names in the 9 p.m. split, but in here at the 11 o'clock split, we still have some really heavy hitters. But all, like we said, 7 qualifying races have all led us to today. That has set the field for today. We are going to take our 20 highest seeded drivers from this week's worth of racing and seeing who will come out on top.
That's it. Exactly what we're going to see is the top split here of the Dirt Road C-Class license. So everybody's been doing those qualifying sessions, and this is the top split using the Pro 4, the Lucas Oil Off-Road Pro 4 truck at Crandon International Raceway. The full course out here I've been mentioning. We've been doing those qualifying sessions, and it's time to put it all on the line, see who's going to become Crandon champion.
And we've got 20 of iRacing's best short course drivers behind the wheel of the top level of the sport. This is Lucas Oil Off-Road Pro 4 truck, 900 horsepower, 410 cubic inches of V8 power, 6-speed manual, and 4,000 pounds that they have to maneuver around the jumps, the twists, and the turns of Crandon International Raceway. This is not an easy vehicle to drive, and it can take some hits, as we've seen all week. A full contact sport, and this is the chariot that will take them there.
You're going to have to learn how to dance this truck around Crandon. And like you said, 900 horsepower. I think the really neat thing about this truck, look at that weight distribution. The 4852, the engine is literally seated right next to the driver. And this is the track that we're going to be doing. 1.5 miles of the big house located in Crandon, Wisconsin. You got the Land Rush start, which starts down there at that cowboy hairpin. See little Pro 4 truck. It is a standing start, 10 wide, all the way to Potawatomi, turn number 1. A couple of key points here. The gravel pit is actually the second to last turn before the start-finish line. And then Calamity Corner, Keenan. We saw it all unfold yesterday there on the last lap a few times. I bet you it's going to happen today again.
And a lot of the same players from last night, Joey, are out here today as well. We'll get into that in just a moment. But as you said, too, that it could not be a better name for the final corner of the racetrack for the start-finish line, Calamity Corner. As we've had all week, it is the same format. Nothing is changing on that. 7 minutes of qualifying or 3 laps, 6-race sprint. That will set the finishing order and the starting order for our feature race. And the winner of that feature race, well, they're the ones who are going to earn the keys to the big house. They're going to be the champion for the Crandon Championship in Super Session number 1. Of course, we still have our 9 p.m. race tonight, but surprisingly, again, a lot of the drivers that we expected to see tonight that are already here in this 11 a.m. split. So it's been a heck of a week of racing, Joey. And we started on Tuesday night, sorry, and it has only been getting crazier and crazier from there.
These are the highlights from those feature qualifying, the super qualifying sessions, and it has been a mixed bag of things. Remember, you want to get that strength of field split because that provided you the best amount of points to try to get into the top 20 to be here in the super session that's being broadcasted. So this is actually race number 1, the feature race number 1, I believe, from Wednesday evening.
It was from Wednesday evening. Some names that are in this race that you'll see there. Wes Graham ended up making it out. He was just outside the top 20, but as we said, you don't need to be in the top 20 to be able to make tops for the super session. It's the top 20 drivers who participate. We may see the top 20 tonight, but a couple drivers who were in the 20s, 30s, outside looking in, are going to get a chance to compete for the championship here in this first of our 2 super sessions.
And I think as we watch these highlights go through, there's Calamity Corner, more problems. Just, it's going to be a talking point all morning long, all night long, really. It's just the last corner on the racetrack, and trust me, you can push, you can shove. We're going to see it in some of these last lap passes here throughout these races, so I don't expect things to change. It's kind of the course of Crandon. It's a contact sport like what we're seeing, and the cleaner you keep the truck, the better your opportunity is at the end.
Yeah, if you're watching this and going, well, I want to get a part of this, but I wish I would have qualified this week, you still can race. It is not just based on who raced this week.
Watching these trucks go around here, and I believe that this was our Thursday morning session here, and more Calamity Corner action, fenders flying off the truck. And folks, if you see the bodywork coming off of the trucks, that is A-okay. It's not like a road race car or a Formula car where if you damage the wing, you lose a ton of performance. Trust me, the fiberglass is meant to fall off of these.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, just before I was so cut off by my own throat trying to kill me, you can race this race whether you've been racing all week, whether you're in the top 20, 30, 40, 50. It splits just like a regular iRacing race, but instead of being determined on iRating, it's determined on points throughout the week. And obviously, top split is what we're trying to get into, but if you just missed the board and want to still race in Crandon, you're more than welcome to do so. Again, even if you haven't raced all week, you're still more than welcome to come in and join the Crandon Championship.
I think, Keenan, kind of what you're saying is if you're Ricky Bobby and you're sitting there on the sideline and somebody doesn't show up, you can go fast?
Absolutely. Again, we have some names towards the bottom of the board, Joey, that wouldn't have made the top 20 that are just out of it. The one that stands out to me is Wes Graham was in 25th or 26th, and he's truck number 17 in here today.
I think what's interesting to me is how many of those drivers you just mentioned that were going to make the Super Session that are in the top 20 are actually here this morning. I bet you they're going to repeat later. I wonder if we're going to see a champion actually come and win both of them.
We have not seen a driver go back-to-back in the Super Sessions. Last year, our first winner was Jacob Rafoss, who was not here, and then our second, Connor Berry, who is not currently in this split, might actually be on the way to race at Crandon this weekend, and this was last night's race. We're going to see talk about a lot of names that we saw last night today, big ones. Crystal King, Nicholas Dashley, Tyson Miller, Thad Countryman, Oliver Golding, and company. But if the races have gotten better and better throughout the week, and this was the cherry on the sundae, I at one point was standing up. This was insane racing. A lot of the community has kind of agreed it was a heck of a race. Some beating and banging, but welcome to short course racing.
And I think the big name that you said there, Crystal King, right before this race, she actually got nudged out of the way in Calamity Corner on the last turn on the last lap of a previous race. Well, Keenan, she actually got some revenge at the end of it all yesterday.
Yeah, she was played patient, and that's what is one of her big strengths. She's just really, really, really smart behind the wheel of these Pro 4 trucks. She's been doing it about as long as anybody since they've launched. She's got that motocross background. She sees this happening in front of them between Dashley and Dane Culver, and I gotta tell you, that beef is not over, not by a long shot, and we'll see that culminate tonight in our second Super Session. But we have half of that already here. Nicholas Dashley in the number 7 truck, ready to try and take the win that he was trying to get so desperately last night, but unfortunately fighting a little bit too hard, opens the door for Crystal King and pulls off, I don't want to say the upset, but the surprise win, and now is going to try to go back-to-back in today's Super Sessions.
I mean, you saw it right there. Crystal King just sneaking up the inside. What a great piece of racecraft there to steal that win away. And yeah, we are here Saturday morning, Super Session number 1. It is 11:10 a.m. Eastern. The cars are out there on the track right now doing some practice, getting some awesome shots from inside of those sim rigs, the VR, the screens. Everybody's different setup.
We got 2 of our racecraft drivers in Wes Graham and Sean Winkler. If you need a house, you can probably call Sean maybe. I don't know if his phone number's on there. Sean, this is on the internet. Don't know if that was your wisest decision. Got Crystal King out there as well, Cody Vanderveer and Nicholas Dashley. So 5 drivers who all, I think, have a solid chance of getting up towards the front of the field. Nice to see Wes Graham making some time and getting out there today as well. Obviously, he's got the VR on. That's something unique to the style of racing, too. I know that's a big contention in the asphalt racing, whether the VR is useful or not. A lot of people in the trucks will strap that VR headset to their face, and it really, really is advantageous when you're sideways about 90% of the time.
I'm a pretty big nerd when it comes to the technical stuff, especially when it comes to racing. And when you talk about sim rigs, the setup is so important. And I think you just nailed it with the yaw angle that we see in these trucks. You got to be able to turn, right? It's not like a road race car where it's just pointed straight at the apex or the braking zone and you can turn the wheel and see everything. You actually have to huck this truck into the corners. You'll see them slide all around. Now, the reason why these trucks aren't sliding right now, they're actually on a warm-up lap to get going on a green flag. But with that being said, the virtual reality is a huge advantage, right? Think about that hairpin where you can literally turn your head to the left, look out your side window, spot the apex, launch off of the corner. And if you're on a single monitor, you can't look that far to the left. Sure, you can program some buttons and glance over there. Triple monitors make it a lot better with the visuals, but you're right, Keenan, that virtual reality with the off-road trucks, it's almost just like putting on the helmet and being transported inside the truck.
Riding along now with Thad Countryman, your number 1 truck. Again, the numbering based, I believe, based on iRacing. Crystal King, your number 1 seed going into this race. Take that big wide arc. You wait for the 3rd Crandon flag. 1, 2, and 3. He's going to cut in nice and tight to start the lap. Speaking of Crystal King, riding along with her as well. She has been on the podium in every race that she has raced this week, and she's been in about every broadcast split that we've done, has put in a ton of work, a ton of time, and somebody who we were talking just before we went live with the broadcast, Joey, she's been in the Pro Series for this. She's races in every every league worth their salt with dirt road and has always been towards the front, but have been kind of missing that last 5%. She has found something in the last couple of months because she has been dominant this week.
She's been extremely fast. She snagged that win last night with extremely good racecraft. I had mentioned she was in third place in that entire final lap. Just waited for everything to kind of unfold in front of her, snuck right up the inside and took away that win. And something else, we were talking about it. Look at how calm she is. She is focused on everything that she is doing, but she's not up on the wheel. She doesn't let her emotions take charge of how she races out there. She's one of the most calm, and the calmer you are inside the car, the better your brain is working and thinking.
Obviously, big race win for her yesterday, but job not finished. She has to complete today, whether it's this session or the next one, but would still be a huge win for her as she's one of the first times on the board with a 15.199. A solid, strong time for Crystal King, but it's only going to be good enough for fourth. She'll still jump back in the pit lane and go out for another attempt. Jumping back on with Wes Graham as well. He's somebody who's kind of had a similar path to myself, where he started off with the off-road all-stars with, this is really cool, I'm going to get into this, and his another driver who's just been putting in the work and getting better and better as he goes a little bit deep on Cowboy. He's going to lose a little bit of time there. So again, we'll have to see if he can improve on his second lap, but he'll still get this one in for banking.
You get too high up on that berm, on that cushion, all of a sudden that drive goes away that you need to exit the corner. But Keenan, look at our top two right now. An identical lap time. 1:14.976 from Tyson Miller, as well as Nicholas Dashley. Oh, throw Quentin Del Olmo in there as well, because he's only 7/100ths of a second back. 3 cars, all less than 1/10 of a second.
You can't count out Quentin Del Olmo. He's kind of been lurking all week as well, especially in these morning splits. The French driver coming from the rallycross background, coming from a rally background, jumping into the trucks. He's had varying amounts of success, but it seems like this week, as long as he's not getting punted over the fence, he is towards the front of the field. As that is a 15.811 for Wes Graham. That is a competitive time, but I think going a little bit wide in that Cowboy corner is what cost him. Another driver we have not seen in the broadcast splits, but has had some success, has been Sean Winkler. Sean Winkler grabbed a win early on this week, ended up being towards the top of the board. Obviously, Crystal King with her big win last night is your top seed going into today. But again, that big wide arc, waiting for the third Crandon flag. That's when you cut in, start your lap, get as much speed, worth about 1/10 or 2, and then trying to go through these S's really rhythmic, nice and close to the inside bank here, almost clipping it with the front of the truck, and then into Argonne corner, late apex. You want to make sure this truck is pointed as straight as possible to fire down the back straightaway.
You can already see the track starting to change a little bit. It's relatively new, kind of slippery out there, but you see the dirt surface changing kind of between the light and that dark color. Well, the more the trucks run on this thing, it's going to get washed up, and we're going to be seeing the drivers put that outside rear tire right on that cushion, right on that dirty or that darker colored dirt, because it actually provides them a little bit of banking, a little bit of camber, and that excels the drive off of the corner. You see Nicholas Dashley just rolling all the way up to the top of that berm, try to really get the launch down the straightaway.
He went so wide in the Cowboy corner, but kept all 4 on the pavement, out there trying to break the tie. Again, you're starting 10 wide. If you're in the 5th, 6th area, Joey, it's basically you've accepted that you're in the chaos zone, but those top 2 or 3 spots are very, very, very important to have. The farther you are to the inside, obviously, that's an advantage, but something Crystal talked about earlier in the week, it's also flat towards the right side of the run-up to Corner Potawatomi turn 1. There's no bumps, there's no jumps, there's nothing to upset your truck. So if you get the whole shot, you will be clear of everybody going into turn number 1.
Let's see if Dashley is able to snag away this P1 position, a 1:15.3. That's not going to do it. That's almost a quarter of a second. In fact, that's over a quarter of a second slower than his first time. I see Cody Vanderveer actually jumped up into that 4th place position, displaced Sean Winkler there, as we got about 20 seconds left here in qualifying. All the trucks are going to be putting in their 3rd timed lap here at Checkered Falls.
Cool to see Terry Miller out here as well. He saw him have a little bit of a rough start the beginning of his week, but ended up being the number 10 seed here today. Terry Miller, one of the oldest drivers on the service. I'm sure he loves when we say this, but one of the oldest drivers on the service with a pro license. So he's been competitive. He's always competitive. You see Terry Miller in an off-road race, he is going to be forced to be reckoned with. Qualifies 12th. He's going to be towards the inside of that second row, Joey.
And that's going to wrap up qualifying, and as soon as this thing ticks over, we will have our starting grid, and it is going to be an exciting one, Keenan.
Tyson Miller on the pole, but just by tiebreaker. It is a tie for pole with Nicholas Dashley second place. Quentin Delomo not even a 10th back. The Frenchman is going to be starting from P3. Tyler Shattuck being a dominant force all week. He'll be 4th position. Cody Vanderveer starting 5th with Sean Winkler. 6th place. Crystal King only good enough for 7th, but she's been a threat all week. Keep an eye on the number 4 machine. Thad Countryman, Evan McFarland, and Matthew Lynn, the 2 teammates at the bottom of the top 10, will round out your first row.
In 11th, we've got William Findling with Terry Miller in 12th, Oliver Golding starting in 13th, Daniel Solo in 14th, Wes Graham 15th, Brody Duscher in 16th, Shane Ball 17th, Austin Schieber in 18th, Stead Miller 19th, and Greg Johnson. Those are the 2 rows, the 20 Pro 4 trucks that are going to be lining up.
All 2,900 horsepower machines sitting on the line ready to go. We have a 6-lap sprint race to decide the starting order of our 10-lap feature. If you get into any trouble in Potawatomi Turn 1, you're going to be on the back foot for the one that counts. It's that 10-lap feature that will decide who will be hoisting that Crandon Championship trophy, who will become the newest winner. Jacob Rafoss not here. We will have a new champion here this afternoon.
And wait for the fireworks here in Potawatomi Turn number 1. You see all the trucks lined up on this land rush start. We're just patiently waiting, I believe, for 1 or 2 more to hit the starting grid. And then all of a sudden, Barney will turn those lights on. We'll get the revs up and a 900 horsepower, 18,000 horsepower launch.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a full field. 20 of the best short course drivers in the service hitting to turn number 1. We have a green flag for the first of our 2 super sessions here this afternoon. Great start from the top 3, but I'm not quite sure if any one of them's got it in it. But I think it's going to be Nicholas Dashley towards the outside as they all pile in behind him. Everybody fairly clean out of Potawatomi Turn number 1.
And look at them all leading their way through. I got 1 truck off to the left side. Now we're going to get 2 trucks off to the right-hand berm exiting the racetrack. I do see Nicholas Dashley up on the inside. He's that blue truck towards the front as we go into the gravel pit.
It's Evan McFarland who got caught up in some early dramatics. Unfortunately, bad luck for him all week. He's going to have to see if he can recover in the feature. But Oliver Golding's one of the ones that also got caught up in that. Tyson Miller going to be the one that profits. But Nicholas Dashley, we saw him not afraid to get the elbows out last night. And he gets them out again to move into second place.
Looks like it's Golding, Miller, Dashley, your top 3 as it is just busy behind. Look at this 3 wide going up through the S section, and now more bumping and banging, just kind of rubbing, trying to figure out where everybody is. There's that white and red number 4 truck of Crystal King.
Yeah, not the best start for Crystal, unfortunately. Just only a couple qualifying positions moved her back down the order. But right from downtown, you see Terry Miller trying to make something happen. He makes some contact. Cowboy corner, one of the roughest corners early on. Terry Miller still trying to force his way through as Shane Paul's not having it. They're going to get caught up in an accident. Tyson Miller now to the lead. He's still getting pressured by Nicholas Dashley. If so much has happened, we haven't even really started this race yet.
And remember, this is just the sprint race. 6 laps here. We still got a 10-lap feature after this. So these drivers are all sorts of pumped right now on the racetrack. We are just completing lap number 1 through the gravel pit. It is Miller and Dashley out front. Quentin Delomo now in 3rd.
Matt Linde trying to make something happen here for the KES Industries machine following the battle of Sean Winkler. Tyler Shattuck, that was the 15 machine of William Feinling getting shipped wide a little bit. Going to be able to recover and keep going though, still on the racetrack. But Sean Winkler, your number 2 truck, the second strongest on paper truck in this field, P5 with Tyler Shattuck right in front of him. Sean has had a race win this week, but it was not a race that we ended up broadcasting. He's trying to prove he belongs up here, trying to take a look at Tyler Shattuck for 4th place.
See, going down into the Cowboy hairpin here. Let's watch this number 2 truck slide to the inside, see if he gets it stopped. Yes, he does, and Tyler Shattuck actually went way wide in the Cowboy hairpin there, but look at how busy it is behind. You see Terry Miller and just really a whole gaggle of cars.
Again, that's another look. Terry Miller, again, has been getting bullied all week, and I think he just finally said enough's enough, stuck his nose in, and did not lift. And unfortunately for both him and Shane Paul, that's going to be them towards the back of the field. They're not out of it. They still have a chance to recover if there is some dramatics in the start for the feature, but not the best start to their sprint race here this afternoon.
And I think this is kind of the point where the drivers, you know, the initial start, the hype is kind of calmed down and everybody has found their racing spot out there. Now it's time to actually put those lap times to test and see who can overtake.
Nicholas Dachelet on the rear gearbox of Tyson Miller. And again, look who's right behind them. They could have thrown a blanket over them in qualifying, very similar to one of his qualifying races. Quinton Delomo right to the tail of these two drivers. If anything happens between the 5 and the 7, Quinton Delomo's right there ready to take advantage.
Well, and remember how physical Dachelet and some of the other drivers were. I believe it was Dane Culver as well yesterday afternoon in that feature race. I wonder if that number 7 truck that's sitting in second place right now is actually just kind of hanging out and biding his time, waiting for the right opportunity.
I mean, that's what he saw happen to him. Dane Culver was behind him and just waited and waited. On the last lap is where they really got physical. And again, this isn't the one that decides the champion. This isn't the one that decides the winner. This is just for starting position in the feature race. So you could say Dachelet might just be taking it easy, doesn't want to make any enemies because he's got he made some. It was an interesting finish to the last race last night, but Crystal King with the win. But maybe learning from those earlier races this week, as the racing is still very, very competitive throughout the field here in the sprint race.
Well, and quite honestly, Keenan, if you ask me as a competitor, if I'm sitting in Dachelet's point of view right now, I'm going to throw a curveball, right? Everybody's been watching you race all week. Everybody knows how you race, right? This is not just like a tiny little community. This is a big community. Everybody knows a lot of these names, and Nicholas Dachelet is always one of the fastest. He's always up there winning races. So if it were me, I'd be throwing a little bit of a curveball right now. Get these guys thinking that I'm going to do something else. Save your best card for the feature. We
have a ton of battles on the racetrack. We have our battle for the lead, as of course, between Tyson Miller and Nicholas Dachelet, in a hot battle for 5th with Matthew Linda leading the charge. But he's got 4, 5, 6 trucks behind him that if he makes any kind of mistake, it is going to get rough and ready here at the big house. Matthew Linda trying to make up for Evan McFarland's bad start, one of the KES Industries trucks, but again, Tyler Shattuck, Crystal King, Cody Vanderveer, Thad Countryman all right behind him.
We've only had one truck that is not running. That's the number 9 of Evan McFarland as we come down into Calamity Corner once again for our leaders. I've been keeping my eye on that kind of battle for what is 5th, 6th, 7th over here. It's actually starting to string out just a little bit. I wonder if Matthew Linda is starting to pull a little bit of pace, maybe close it in on that top 4 group of Sean Winkler. He's actually running by himself.
And the 9 with a technical fault, a wheel disconnection for Evan McFarland. Again, if he didn't have bad luck this week, he'd have no luck at all. One of the people who was really, really strong in rallycross, just like Quinton Delomo, and moved over to the trucks. And unfortunately, not the best start to the career for Evan McFarland, even though he did make the race. So hopefully he can turn that into something in the feature. And ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching this right now and going, this looks like a blast, I want to get into this, you can go to iRacing.com today. If you're a brand new member, you can save 40% off a new membership. If you're an existing member right now, the Pro 4 truck and Crandon are available, and it's been in the official Fix series all week. These are a blast to drive. You can drive the Pro 2 Lite and Wild West with your base subscription. So go ahead and check out one of the best forms of racing in the iRacing service and short course racing, and join the community today.
Well, these lead trucks right now, what you're seeing is that heat format, but we are coming to the white flag for the sprint race. 1 lap to go, 1.5 miles, 8 turns here at Crandon International Raceway. In fact, only 7 turns left now.
One of the most relaxed races we've seen, and it's one of the most important. Nicholas Dachelet might show Tyson Miller, if he's got anything for him, right to the gearbox of that number 5 machine of Miller. Is Dachelet going to make a move in Cowboy? This is where we saw Dane Culver last night start his attack for the lead. Nicholas Dachelet, I think, choosing to follow Tyson Miller for now. Again, the most important finishing position is the one of the feature. Not wanting to make any enemies early on, not wanting to play his hand too early. So maybe just relaxing, just not making any bad moves as Matthew Linda ends up getting shipped down in the 8th position. So there was some action in Cowboy just further on down the field as we still battle for the lead.
And only a couple turns left here, so if Nicholas Dashley, this blue number 7, is going to make a move, it's either into Gravel Pit or into Calamity Corner. Let's see if he throws a big old slider. No, he's staying right on the racing line behind Tyson Miller. Keenan, it might come down to Calamity Corner.
They call it Calamity Corner for a reason, Joey. Delomo a non-factor. Will Dashley make a move for the lead? Tyson Miller goes a little bit early and defensive. Nicholas will have to run out of the corner. He's a little wide, doesn't get it done. Tyson Miller will be your winner of the sprint race here for the Crandon Championship, race number 1 of our Super Sessions. He will be starting in that all-important pole position for our feature race.
And you saw the flock of trucks come across the start-finish line. I think there was about 6 or 7 of them, all within about half a second. Crystal King snagging 6th in it all.
Yeah, so not the best run for Crystal King, and unfortunately that all came down to qualifying and just couldn't move through the field. A relatively clean start as well does not help her case, but Tyson Miller being able to capitalize and take that win from pole to first place, rides it all the way through for that 6th lap of the sprint race with Nicholas Dashley 2nd place and Quentin Delomo with a late race mistake, but he was right there the whole time in P3 with Sean Winkler, Tyler Shattuck, Crystal King, Matthew Linda, Cody Vanderveer, Thad Countryman, and William Findling rounding out the top 10.
In 11th, we've got Daniel Solo, Oliver Golding here in 12th, Greg Johnson 13th, Austin Schieber 14th, Stead Miller 15th, Brody Dusher in 16th, Wes Graham 17th, Terry Miller 18th, Shane Paul 19th, and we documented Evan McFarland's unfortunate issues with his sim setup over there. We'll finish 20th, and that'll be our starting grid as well, how they line up on those 2 rows for the next Land Rush start.
Yeah, and again, if you're towards the inside, there's not a whole lot of bumps there, not a whole lot of jumps, so it's easier to get towards turn number 1, Potawatomi turn 1, with that hole shot. Another advantage, too, is unfortunately if you had some bad luck and you're towards the outside of those rows, you get to the dirt a lot faster and you can accelerate a lot faster. You are at the mercy of the drivers to the inside if they overshoot, but you kind of get out of that mid-pack blender, and I've seen plenty of times here in short course racing here on iRacing at Crandon where you start to the outside, you could be 15th, 16th, 17th, and then come down in a gravel pit 5th, 4th, 3rd, even better. So if you are still in this race, you are not out of contention.
It's basic physics, right? What stays in motion, it just continues, right? So if you're on the inside, you slide towards the outside of the track, well, guess what? Everybody that's already on the outside of the track, they're in pretty big trouble right there. So what you just labeled, it happens all the time at Crandon. If you're on those back rows, just wait for that big old pendulum to carry itself through Potawatomi turn number 1. And hey, the seas might part, you might get an over-under, and you might find yourself inside the top 10 with a great track position at it all. And trust me, it's not just Potawatomi turn number 1, it's that turn number 2. You have those double tabletops going into it, huge amounts of commitment.
Yeah, as we take a look back at what we just saw, here's our highlights for the sprint race. Not a whole lot of beating and banging as we expected from last night, but it wasn't like we didn't see some competition as well. Quentin Delomo showing that he's competitive, he's ready to try and go for a win, and then obviously we had our winners, our top 2 battles, but there was battles throughout the field. Terry Miller not wanting to get off the throttle, he's trying to prove something this afternoon. A really, really competitive race and really set the tone for our feature coming up in just a moment.
And I think the key was just kind of how calm it was at the front. This mid-pack battle was crazy busy, but up front, it was relatively calm, cool, and collected up there. So I do think things will change, but we also have to consider that start. It might be a totally different group at the front.
You are at the mercy of the Land Rush start. Everybody has a plan. Everybody's tough until you hit that Land Rush start. You kind of can't plan your race until you've made it through up until Calamity Corner to take technically what would be the green flag. As we see our starting order for our feature race. Again, Tyson Miller to the inside of that first row of 10 trucks with Nicholas Dashley right behind him. He did not leave the gearbox of that number 5 machine, and he will stay there and try to capitalize. We see these people get hole shots early on and be able to overtake that pole position driver, but Quentin Delomo is right there as well. Sean Winkler, Tyler Shattuck, and Crystal King all still on that front row with Matthew Linda, Cody Vanderveer, Thad Countryman, and William Findling coming back from adversity to get a top 10 here in the sprint race and a good start for the feature.
In 11th, there's Daniel Solo with Oliver Golding in 12th. Greg Johnson, 13th. Austin Shaber, 14th. Stead Miller, 15th. Brody Dusher, Wes Graham, Terry Miller, Shane Paul, and Evan McFarlane, your 20 trucks.
It has all come down to this, ladies and gentlemen. 7 days or 7 races of qualifying has set the order for this race. Our sprint race has set the starting order for this race. All these drivers have worked so hard and put in so much work over the last 7 days, and it has all come down to this. 20 of your best short course racers here on the iRacing service, and only one can be crowned champion. Ladies and gentlemen, we are green, and Evan McFarlane has been taking the field to school on the starts all week, and once again, green means go, and Evan McFarlane to the lead with a whole shot and a half.
Holy smokes, he is way out there in front. You see the sideways truck right in the middle. That's that white and red of Crystal King. And now we've got everybody going through turn number 2, bottoming out those suspensions, one of them off the track.
Put some respect on his name. It wasn't even Evan McFarlane. It was a red and black truck, but it was Oliver Golding out of nowhere. He's in P1. He's leading the charge. Everybody behind him's trying to make something happen now. And they're all on the back foot. They got left snapping on the start. What a start for the 14.
Yeah, I don't know how he launched it. Oh, look at Calamity Corner. We got problems down there. It's about 8 trucks all coming into contact. Still 3 wide as we head into this S section. They're going to have to figure this out because the funnel is coming up right here.
The field is in a totally different order. Like we said, you can't really plan until you do the land rush start. Settling down just a little bit out towards the front. Nobody's told the midfield that, though, as we are 3, make it 4 wide going into Cowboy Corner. The 6 machine thinks better of it. That is, of course, we got Tyler Shattuck, as we're still running into each other.
And we had problems with Sean Winkler, Nicholas Dashley at the front of the field. Oliver Golding has taken off 1.2 seconds in front of the number 7.
Oliver Golding was a driver that at the time of recording was almost on the outside looking in, and now he's at the front, checking in, checking out, trying to put as much gap in between these drivers behind as possible. We could see an upset victory for Oliver Golding, but we still have 9 laps to find out, and there are plenty of hungry drivers behind him. Nicholas Dashley's trying to get up there. Sean Winkler trying to recover from that mistake, and they are still nose to tail, almost throughout the whole field behind them.
You said it is a totally different group and more problems there. I think I saw Tyson Miller getting edged out of the way. He's going to lose a couple spots there in Calamity Corner. So now the front 3 are starting to break away. I had mentioned that Oliver Golding ran away. Nicholas Dashley, holy smokes, that lap caught him right back up.
Yeah, right to the back. Catching up is one thing, as I'm sure you know, Joey, and passing is one other thing. Cody Vanderveer making contact to the inside of Calamity Corner, and now he's got your sprint race winner, Tyson Miller, seeing his chance of a victory. He's falling farther and farther away as these top 4 drivers pull away. He's going to need to get something done on Cody Vanderveer. Textbook pass in Cowboy Corner. He gets the move done. He's back up to 5th, but he's got a long way to go if he wants to win this race.
I think it's the first time in a long time we've seen single file through Potawatomi turn number 1. It seems like the drivers are all getting to grips with this slippery Crandon racetrack. I do have to report, unfortunately, 2 trucks out, Crystal King and Shane Paul.
Yeah, we were really expecting to see Crystal make a push for this to win and go for 2 wins in a row, but we'll have to see here tonight in our second Super Session. We have so much more racing for you here this Saturday, but we still have so much more racing for you here in this race. It is not over. You might not be competing for a win, but a top 5 and top split is still a huge deal here for short course racing, as that's Cody Vanderveer trying to pull away from Daniel Solo, and Thad Countryman trying to stick his nose inside of the 13 machine.
Yeah, that's that in that blue number 1 there, just kind of single file behind this red and white number 13 of Daniel Solo. But really, I can say from 5th place all the way back to about 15th, 16th or so is all in one big line.
A great start from Evan McFarland as well. We thought he was him that got the jump. He's been getting solid jumps all week, but it wasn't. He ended up being Oliver Golding as Thad crunching it to the outside of Daniel Soto. The Swede going to try to hold it towards the inside. He's going to have to back up the corner here in Potawatomi. He does. Thad tries to force the issue with a little nudge, but it's not going to be enough. As I was saying, Evan McFarland started stone dead last. He is up to 11th as Thad's going to take a look to the inside. It's not going to happen. We are side by side for the lead. Nicholas Dashley sliding up on Oliver Golding. Oliver's going to try to make the move happen to the inside there, door to door. A little bit of contact, and Oliver Golding holds on for now.
I tell you what, I don't think that Dashley is going to appreciate that, and here he goes up the inside. I've been watching. Oliver's been missing a couple apexes. He just missed another one there at Calamity Corner, and now Dashley is firmly ahead in the lead. It happened around there. Ponce, turn number 2. He just got way wide in that dirt. Dashley was able to sneak up the inside, but Oliver Golding giving the bumper back. It might even be 3 wide heading down into the Cowboy hairpin.
Golding is not giving up his chance at victory. He is fighting tooth and nail. He knows that that 7 machine gets clear. It is game over for the 14. He goes wide in Cowboy corner, and now we are 3 wide for the lead. Sean Winkler's trying to put his name in the hat here.
I think Winkler is going to hang it tough around the outside of turn number 1. Let's see if he can carry the momentum, if he can get that rear in the cushion. No, it's going to be Golding hanging on to second, but this is the area of the racetrack where he lost the lead last lap. Let's see if he can keep it nice and tidy, which he does, staying on the line. Watch that third place truck. He's going to try to make a move into gravel pit.
Sean went for the wider line. He'll have the run coming down in the gravel pit. Oliver Golding fighting for his life, trying to keep these positions that he got from that good start, but Sean going to give him a little bit of the business coming out of gravel pit. You don't really want to be on the outside of Calamity Corner. It's more of a flat corner, not somewhere you can really make moves to the outside, but Oliver goes wide. Sean says, thank you, sir. I'm going to take the inside, and can he hold it towards the outside? Sean Winkler, Oliver Golding side by side. That's contact with the wall for Oliver. He's going to ship Sean wide, and Quentin Delano's entered the picture now.
Hey, Keenan, do you think a championship is on the line the way these guys are driving? Oliver is fierce, and I tell you what, Nicholas Dashley, our leader, looking in the mirror, says, hey, bud, keep it up. I'm running away.
Yeah, all they're doing right now, I mean, Oliver Golding's trying to hang on to whatever he can, but unfortunately everybody behind him is trying to get to that 7 truck. We are halfway through our feature race. We are 5 laps down, 5 to go, and the longer they fight, the more that 7 machine will pull away. But you can't take it away from Oliver Golding. He's trying to hang on to a podium position. He knows if he lets one go, they're all going to go. He has to hold his line. He has to fight tooth and nail. This is the fight of his life right now, as he has got a ton of hungry former and current pro drivers behind him.
So Sean Winkler's got a nose to the inside in gravel pit. He didn't send it last time. This time they're both going to throw it down towards the apex, slide up wide. I don't think that Winkler's going to get the drive off, but he's still to the door on the left side of Oliver Golding here going into Calamity Corner. This is a difficult spot to be in. You get shoved out into that dirt. He's going to lose several positions.
And he's back. Look at the 5 machine, Tyson Miller. He ended up falling behind early on. He was your sprint race winner, and he's back up to a podium position. If Sean Winkler's got anything to say about it, they're still fighting tooth and nail for the bronze medal. And again, Quentin Delano, we've seen him all week. He goes for the high line. He cuts low. They're going to be 3 wide going to the Cowboy corner. Quentin Delano stays inside. They're still side by side for 3rd. Tyson Miller's going to be towards the outside. Oliver Golding a little bit slow. Tyson goes wide. Quentin to the inside. They have not stopped fighting for 2 straight laps.
I tell you what, all of these trucks, it has just allowed our leader now to 2.5 seconds. He has thrown up the deuces, call him the cheetah. The only thing that's going to stop him is a mistake from himself.
A 4-way fight to determine the rest of the podium, and any of these 4 drivers could get it. Nicholas Dashley pulling away, and we have battles all over the field. We're about 3 wide for 8th position as well. That's Daniel Solo, Matthew Linda, and Brody Duscher. 2 of those 3 drivers were out of the top 20 with no chance. They ended up getting in this morning. They had to get into race mode, and they found a way to be able to fight for a top 10 in one of the most competitive dirt road fields in the sim. Tyson Miller getting the elbows out. He's back up to 3rd. Sean Winkler back down to 4th. He puts Sean in the wall. Sean Winkler in the wall with Quentin Delano straightening him out. It's went from a 4 to a 2 truck fight for the final 2 podium positions.
Well, Sean Winkler has been taking notes from Travis Pastrana. When in doubt, throttle it out, and he just kept his foot in it, pulled it out of the wall. So he's still sitting there in what is the 4th place position, but him as well as Quentin Delhomme, they're kind of locked in. So it's Oliver and Tyson now battling for that 2nd spot.
Sean and Quentin have to get on the same page, and they have to get on the same page. Oh, big contact for Matthew Linde. Matthew Linde getting set to the inside wall. He hits a sign. That truck explodes. He ends up on his lid, and that is another one added to the graveyard in the pit lane. Unfortunately, one of the several casualties we saw here in this sprint race, but it is not over. That battle for 8 is not over by a long shot. Brody Duscher still to the inside of Cody Vanderveer, as Oliver Golding is not done with Tyson Miller. Tyson Miller ended up getting the overtake back up to P2, but Oliver Golding fighting for everything that he's worth. That 14 truck trying to make something happen with the 5.
Yeah, and we've seen him get the elbows out prior. I expect to see the same thing out of that black and red truck. It's just a matter of if that red number 5 that now sits in 2nd place can actually run away. I've always been taught that if you're going to make some contact, you better be able to run away quick.
It was only a matter of time before we had some sort of issue with this heavy fighting. Again, one of those KES trucks already in the pits, Matthew Linde, trying to get a solid top 10 finish. He goes to the inside of Cowboy Corner. Daniel Solo's already being hit. Linde full throttle, nowhere to go. And unfortunately, that will be the end of the number 11's day. We'll have to see him this evening in the 9 p.m., but we still have this fight going on. It has not stopped. Oliver Golding, Sean Winkler. Oliver Golding has fought as far as he could to maintain a podium position. Sean Winkler's had the speed, but has not had the luck. He's going to get it done in a Ponzi turn 2, but that's going to be Oliver Golding with the crisscross applesauce, putting it towards the inside of Sean. This still isn't over. We still have 2 laps to go.
The shortest distance prevails, headed down towards the gravel pit. He's going to try to run Sean way up into the dirty stuff. He succeeds, so Oliver Golding back into that 3rd place position, defending a podium. And like you said, coming to 2 laps remaining to decide who's going to be champion.
We've seen it all week. The harder you fight, you invite your friends over. And we have Quentin Delhomme, who dropped back a little bit, who's going to re-enter the picture, and Thad Countryman, who's joined this as well. It's went from a 4-truck fight to a 2-truck fight, back to a 4-truck fight for this 3rd position. Oliver Golding has done an amazing job, but still has to hang on for 2 more laps. Sean Winkler has been in the short course scene for many a year. He has more than one trick up his sleeve.
Into the cowboy hairpin here. The key is to drive off, make sure nobody pushes you out into that slippery stuff. And Golding gets a nice drive off, Sean Winkler as well as Quentin Delhomme, but if anything's going to be happening, it's going to be coming from this number 2 truck.
Keep an eye on Racecraft's very own Sean Winkler. Oliver Golding has done a great job of blocking. He's still got speed, but Sean clearly trying to find a way to fight around him.
And here we go into the gravel pit. Does he throw a slider? Oliver's been really good about seeing where the trucks have been going, and you see him kind of choose the middle of the racetrack. That might open up the door, trying to put the power down, and sure enough, Sean gets a better exit, but he's on the wrong side going to Calamity Corner as we get the white flag.
Nicholas Dashley coming to take the white flag. Tyson Miller is not going to get there. He will be 2nd place, barring some sort of major issue. The battle is now for 3rd. Oliver Golding with the best finish of the week, trying to hang on to the final podium steps. He's got some of short course bests behind him, with Sean Winkler, Quentin Delhomme, Thad Countryman, and now Brody Duscher and Cody Vanderveer have joined the party. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a 6-way dance for the final spot on the podium.
It has become a party into the hairpin for the final time. The handbrakes are being used, trying to get some rotation out of the trucks. You saw how close Winkler, Delhomme, and Duscher all are. They're trying to get Oliver Golding for that final podium.
Brody Duscher goes from 8th to 1st, and he's licking his chops as he's watching this fight in front of him. Quentin Delhome's got a front row seat with some popcorn, but he's going to try to make the move on Sean Winkler. Sean goes wide. Quentin Delhomme moves up now. He's in 4th. Does Oliver hang on to 3rd place as Sean Winkler and Quentin Delhomme are side by side going in a gravel pit?
And it looks like Nicholas Dashley here, Keenan, only has Calamity Corner.
Nicholas Dachelet with an uneventful race for him, nice and smooth, ends up going second to first as he will be your winner for tonight, this session, for this super session in the afternoon. And it is going to be Oliver Golding as they fight tooth and nail for 4th, 5th, and 6th on back. But that is going to be Nicholas Dachelet taking the win in your morning super session with Tyson Miller and Oliver Golding with nothing left of that 14 machine rounding out the podium.
Holy smokes, redemption drive from Tyson Miller to make it all the way back up there, but it was all about that number 7 truck of Nicholas Dachelet.
We spent no time talking about him because he just got to the front, he set sail, he got comfortable and pulled away. We'll have to see if that 7 machine shows up again to this evening, but he is your champion for the morning of our first super session. He is our brand new champion, and it is awesome to see him to the top step of the podium. But let's not take away from the rest of the field, who all fought tooth and nail to try to say they were one of the best short course racers in the service. Tyson Miller, Oliver Golding, Quentin DeLoma with a last-minute push trying to go for the podium. Couldn't quite get there. Still an awesome run for him considering how his week started. Brody Duscher went from 8th to 5th in about a lap and a half. An amazing start for those top 10, and unfortunately, especially about 17th on back, Joey, not the best luck for some of those drivers. We'll have to see them again tonight.
Yeah, but that's the best part, is we do still have another super session later on this evening. So yeah, if things didn't go your way, that's all right. Just regroup yourself, go do some practice laps, figure out where it all went wrong. Could have been somebody else's fault. Maybe you missed an apex, or maybe just you need to learn from Oliver Golding on how to do those standing starts. But either way, there's still another one and a lot more racing to come later.
Luckily, we've caught up with our winner, Nicholas Dachelet. It was a hard-fought race for you last night to get here and a bit more relaxed towards the front. Walk us through that feature race for you.
Yeah, that was a pretty good start I got there. Not as good a start as Oliver got there. Man, I haven't seen that before, but got a good start out there, got clear pretty much everyone. Then it was just me and Oliver out front, and then he slid me in gravel, and then I was able to get around him after the start-finish line there, and then I just set sail after that.
I was going to say, with Oliver getting that amazing start and then very clearly not wanting to give it up, what was the thought process when you're like, okay, I'm going to have to fight for this if I want it?
Yeah, it's just in these trucks, it's all about setting up the passes. So you just got to see where you're faster. I was gaining on him probably in the back half of the track, which set up gravel better, and then I was able to get to his inside in Calamity, and then I was able to get around him. And then it looked like a battle in my mirror there, so I hope it was enjoyable on the broadcast looking back at that battle.
And now you are our first super session champion of the day, Nicholas Dachelet. I know you've got some really good results in the Pro Series back in 2023, but what does being the champion this afternoon mean to you?
It means a lot. I'm from Crandon. It's amazing to be the champion of Crandon here this year, so can't wait to get back at it.
And of course, we've still got tonight. You could go for the sweep and take both wins this evening. But, ladies and gentlemen, Nicholas Dachelet, your winner this afternoon. Nicholas, congratulations and welcome to the Champions Corner.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to give a shout out to my teammates there. Tyson ran second there. It was great to have that. And then I want to say thank you to Parsons Chevy, Factory Sim Sport, Legion Speed Sport, HW Designs, and you guys for putting on this amazing event.
Thank you so much, Nicholas, and good luck tonight if we choose to see you once again. But I think that will be it from our champion. Amazing job from him, Joey. And again, like he said it basically himself, it's a popular hometown win for him as well, being from Crandon. You'd think he'd be at the racetrack right now, but he's with us and in the top step of the podium.
Well, I think he proved that he was from Crandon by winning by nearly 5 seconds. That was an impressive drive, and we've been talking about it. It is not just today that the racing is going on, or I should say this morning. It is this afternoon as well. We've got Super Session number 2 coming up at 9 p.m. Eastern. So go take a little bit of a break, have a little bit of a lunch, but trust me, we got a lot more Crandon to go.
We've got an evening to catch our breath before we rewind and do it all over again. We saw how crazy that race was last night. We saw what these drivers are willing to do to try and stay in those positions and fight for those positions. This is not over, not by a long shot, and we still have one more champion to crown this evening.
What I find most interesting from a competitor perspective, Keenan, is most of the feature races have looked completely different from the sprints. And it goes from all of those qualifying sessions up into this first super session that we saw maybe a couple trucks break away in the sprint, but then in the feature, it was a totally different story. So how do you prepare for that? I think it's just practice laps, and these drivers better get on it.
They have one more chance to put their names in the history books, but for Nicolas Dachelet, it's already mission complete. Will he go 2 for 2 this evening? We'll have to find out as we're back at 9 p.m. Eastern Time for the second of our 2 super sessions. But until then, thank you so much for joining us and for the entire iRacing broadcasting team. My name is Keenan Kuzin, and thank you for Joey Atterbury, and we'll see you this evening for our second super session here from Crandon International Raceway.